is in a flat spin and headed out to sea. Most who were in the 1980s remember the scene from the summer release with Tom Cruise, Val Kilmer, Kelly McGillis, Meg Ryan, and Tom Skerritt. And with the newest sequel, Top Gun Maverick, hitting the movie theaters, some real-life Tomcat pilots who had flown both the F-14A and F-14B and D, which only a total of 714 were ever built, provided their insider knowledge about that scene and whether it depicted realism in military aviation, or was just the type of thrills for movie audiences without the need to suspend reality to enjoy the sights and sounds. For movie audiences without the need to suspend reality to enjoy the sights and sounds in a military action movie on an IMAX screen. Spoiler alert, asymmetric thrust caused by a compressor stall will not convert your supersonic swept-wing jet fighter into a frickin'. You will be spinning, but falling vertically with gravity to the ground, not drifting horizontally in a stalled aircraft. And if you lack a fundamental understanding of the aerodynamics of pitch, roll, and yaw, thrust, lift, and drag, converting every miracle of flight into an unexplained aerial phenomenon for you or unidentified flying object that may require no further explanation. And that may be a part of why you never became that ace fighter pilot. But the empirical fact is that less than 25% of Americans between the ages of 17 and 24 are even eligible to begin military training, and of that remainder, less than 1% are still inclined to do so. Maybe that's why the Navy aviators always get the chicks and you don't. All it does is want just another Okie from the scope. Hello, my name is Major Mike Webb, candidate for U.S. Congress, and at least according to a recent order published by the U.S. District Court for Northern District of Texas in Fort Worth, I am a litigation hobbyist. Recently, after all that had transpired since November 21st, 2021, when litigation was commenced to defend the Navy SEALs 1-26 against the Biden administration's vaccine mandate, let's just say that JFK had a better welcome party celebration in Dallas. So let's, for the next few moments, discuss a little about this litigation and why we decided to take the bold step to not just submit an amicus curiae brief or a friend of the court brief, but rather decided to present a petition to intervene personally. Maverick is in a flat spin and headed out to sea. Like the difference between the movie-going audience and an actual jet fighter pilot, and the difference between the vast majority of American civilians and those who have served and continue to serve in uniformed military service, the Navy SEALs represent a very small part of the larger U.S. Navy community in what is referred to as the Special Operations Forces, or SOF community, of which the Ranger Regiment, not just the Ranger Tab, is a part, and of which less than 1% of the entire U.S. Army are actually assigned to elite light infantry battalions, ready to deploy anywhere in the world, literally ready to fight tonight, delivering hot lead downrange in under 18 hours. And that job requires a very specially selected and well-trained soldier, for which most, even in the active duty military, are simply unqualified and probably even unwilling to begin. And having served in the Ranger Regiment for 2 years as a volunteer, I can personally attest that simply the motivations of the SOF community soldiers are very different and certainly more intense. They want to deploy, enjoy the opportunity to demonstrate their expertise, apply their knowledge and unique skills, and are certainly not afraid of needles. And I cannot begin to count the number of IVs I had just in the training environment, not applied by anyone with any particular medical training or credentials. It's an environment where what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, where strong survive and the weak perish, where pain is fear leaving the body, and where you wake up every day and say it's a great day to be the Army, and I just wish you could suck just a little bit more. So if you take a look at the orders recently handed down by the Supreme Court and the trial court, and proving the state for the larger class that has joined the Navy SEALs in the vaccine mandate litigation, it should be pretty clear that Maverick is in a flat spin and headed out to sea, and does not represent the unique interests and motivations of a soft community soldier who never leave a fallen comrade is a part of the Creed in the Ranger Regiment community. And you may recall this slogan from the movie Black Hawk Down, depicting soldiers from the Ranger Regiment and Task Force 160. But in the soft community, it is a way of life, instilling confidence and trust in your comrades, teammates, if you were, which is very often performed not only in intra-service cooperation with other special operations units in your military service, but also across the services. And an airborne Army Ranger would not get very far without an Air Force pilot to permit him to jump from a perfectly good airplane. So in my work, I've had the opportunity to actually work with SEALs and other soft community units, where my combat specialty, as it were, was actually often in the legal field of inter-service as well as status force agreements, where international cooperation between forces was required. So let's begin military style with a situation report or sit-rep regarding one larger problem with the current array of forces after the Supreme Court decision on March 25th and the trial court order on March 28th. While in the Navy, if a sailor simply proclaims the magic word of Jesus, which may make the chaplain happy, he may now be exempted from the vaccines mandate. But even though DOD is a defendant party in that litigation, that exemption has not been applied equally across services. And recently, several cadets at the U.S. Air Force Academy were refused the privilege to graduate from that education institution because of their refusal to comply with the vaccines mandate, while a U.S. Army lieutenant had been convicted by a general court-martial for simply not complying with the non-medical grade facial coverings mandate. And perhaps going on the assumption that the COVID-19 disease is a highly contagious and lethal disease, the Navy has prosecuted a solution where an unvaccinated soldier may not be permitted to deploy, and a non-vaccination status may adversely affect assignments and other personnel decisions that may have an impact on a sailor's career progression. FUBAR, major unsafe. This way, the thought is, these soldiers will not infect and kill anybody else, but it ignores the simple fact that to date, within the entire uniformed services community, accounting for some 1.3 million serving on active duty, with an additional million serving in the reserve component National Guards, less than 100 fatalities, less than 100 of 2.3 million have been attributed to COVID-19 through the math, which does not conform to the most basic definition of a lethal contagious disease, at least in my military mind. But several commanders in the Marine Corps have already been relieved from command for their refusal to comply with the vaccines mandate, described as a lawful order. And just imagine, with the present projections regarding a potential third world war in Eastern Europe, how that scenario might adversely affect military readiness in your favorite Call of Duty video game or war action movie, with some of the best players removed from the game board. An additional consideration that was raised by counsel for the Department of Defense during their attempt to remove me from the litigation in Texas, it is apparently the case that the President and the Secretary of Defense have decided that a full mobilization is not an option, and good news for those in the IRR, they will not be called even in the event of World War III. As my former commander in Strat CI, Strategic Counterintelligence, used to say, this does not look like a success story, and Maverick is in a flat spin, headed out to sea. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.